Rumours that Volvo would be racing their new estates had been circulating before the start of the season, but when they actually appeared, there was a great deal of interest from the media, not to mention disbelief from the drivers. As new entrants, the Volvo estates, driven by homegrown Swedish star Rickard Rydell and by the experienced Dutchman Jan Lammers, were not expected to be front-runners.
On lap 1 is Tarquini leading. Watts is second, Soper's third, Lammers is fourth. Number 14, we're with Jan Lammers now, fourth position. And TWR boss Tom Walkinshaw is here. And it's his men who've made the Volvo 850 fly. And Jan Lammers, of course. Here they come, Pilgrims. Tarquini leading, Watts is second, there's third.
When we think of Volvo, we don't necessarily think of race cars. What we think of are big bricks that are basically station wagons. Bulky, heavy, and definitely not suited towards a track. More like going to the supermarket and buying your groceries. However, Volvo has dabbled in a few racing series. Mainly things like touring cars and stuff like the WTCC or the VTCC. This is the story of one such car. That is the Volvo 850. From a humble station wagon to dominating BMWs and Alfa Romeos on a track, the Volvo 850 has come pretty far. So, welcome back to the Tyre Smoke podcast. My name is Trijal and let's get started. So, what is exactly the BTCC? Well, the BTCC stands for British Touring Car Championship. This was a race where stuff like a Toyota Yaris or a Honda Civic could compete against BMWs, Nissans, and they actually stood a chance of winning. And best part was this series was very entertaining to watch because it's not like F1 where everything is way too fast. You know, it's not fast at all, in fact. But it feels fast and it definitely looks fast. Now, in such a stage, Volvo decided they needed to do it properly. So who did they hire? None other than TWR or Tom Walkinshaw Racing. Now Tom Walkinshaw Racing has had a history of racing for quite a few years, and they had quite a few wins actually in other series. They also created the Renault Clio V6 TWR, which is largely considered the greatest hot hatch of all time, next to the Peugeot 205 GTI. Now, Tom Walkinshaw Racing, when they sent their engineer over to pick a shell for the new race car, he did not find sedan shells. What he wanted though was the sedan 850. However, he found the estate 850, and he thought, well, that should be a good marketing gimmick actually. And well, Volvo decided, yeah, go for it. And so the project of the Volvo 850R was born. Now, because it was a station wagon, it was going to be way heavier than some of the other lit sports cars and sedans that are going to be racing against it. The only advantage, in fact, that a station wagon body had was that A, you can put more material into it. I don't know whether exactly that's an advantage or not. And another one that's definitely an advantage is because of the longer roof of the station wagon, more air went over the roof, which meant they had more downforce. This was not really thought out before it, but just a happy side effect. The road-going Volvo 850R had around 230 horsepower, but thanks to the engineers at Tom Walkinshaw Racing, it got almost 325 horsepower in the BTCC trim. Just enough to stay on par with the sports cars and the sedans because they were churning out that much horsepower at the time. I mean, 1990s BTCC, come on. It's the super touring era. BTCC went crazy with the rules, like absolutely no rules. do whatever you want, and well, I guess that's the product of it. And while in road trim it weighed almost 1500 kgs, in race trim it only weighed 975 kgs, which if you're new to cars is very light for a car. And also it was a reduction in almost 525 kgs, which is quite a bit actually. I mean, imagine reducing 525 kgs. Like, that's the genius of TWR, I guess. That's how talented and skilled they were. And with this sort of power to weight ratio, you would think that 250 horsepower would be sufficient to move 975 kgs. And it was. It was about as quick as the road Volvo 850R with a 0 to 100 of 6.7 seconds. The Volvo 850R debuted in the 1994 season of the BTCC. It was driven by the legends Ricard Rydell and Jan Lammers. And when its competitors expected it really to do nothing, it definitely left its mark, because it finished 8th overall. Not bad for a big manufacturer like Volvo with a station wagon. I mean, yes, they are big manufacturers, but it's still a station wagon, and they placed 8th. So well, not bad. And at the start, what people thought was a bit of a paddock joke, like, hey, the station wagon's racing, look at it, suddenly became quite a serious competitor and a problem for teams like BMW and Alfa Romeo. So due to some very clever rule bending and also a bit of help from, well, not a bit, quite a bit of help from the drivers, the Volvo 850 became, well, a very well-known station wagon, and they sold quite well, presumably because of the, BTCC connection. The only thing about it is, it lasted only one season. Why? Well, people say it is because of something that happened in 1994. Well, Alfa Romeo, when they debuted the next BTCC car, they added a small spoiler on it. Now, up till now, BTCC had absolutely no spoilers on their cars. So all of the other teams were in outrage and demanded BTCC that they also can put on spoilers on their cars. And well, BTCC said okay, but as long as the height of the spoiler does not extend the height of the roof of the car. Basically, the spoiler should not stick out above the roof. Now, if you observe the station wagon carefully, where do you put a spoiler on it? A. And B, even if you do put a spoiler on it, it's going to extend way beyond the roof. So, well, you lose your advantage because everybody else is putting spoilers, getting more downforce on their cars, and so they will be anyway quicker. And that's why Volvo switched over for the 1995 season to a Volvo 850 sedan. And that was the end of the Volvo 850 Estate BTCC. And they became very successful with the sedan, yes, winning the BTCC. But it was, as everybody agrees, the 850 Estate that started the whole winning process. So that was the end of that. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Tyre Smoke podcast. If you like this episode, please like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Any comments, criticisms accepted. And that's all for today, guys. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed the video. This is Trijal signing off.